Well, so here we go again. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. You can catch us on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. We are also on digital terrestrial TV. We are JoyNews, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon on The Pulse, if you see something, say something. That's the call from government as it commences a nationwide awareness drive seeking to scale up security consciousness in the wake of intelligence reports suggesting an imminent terror attack on the country.
Of national security and the other security ministries are counting on you, the public, to take ownership of this campaign as a way of supporting state security and intelligence agencies to reduce the threat of an attack in Ghana.
Well, there's more on this day. This afternoon on The Pulse, we hear from the experts as we explore the best defensive measure government should be taking. Also, Privileges Committee of Parliament is set to hear the case involving 3 members of Parliament referred to the committee by Speaker Alban Bagbane on grounds of absenteeism.
The 25th, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, is when we'll have this maiden meeting. 26th, which is a Thursday, I believe. Thursday, yes, is when we will invite the first, person in the name of Honorable Henry Cotti. Will be the first.
That's more from Parliament as they are resuming for the very first time after a long break since April. We'll get you all of the latest. And the flooding in Accra continues to wreak havoc. After 4 hours of downpour, starting in the early hours of the day, the national capital is still recovering from the flooding. We'll take you to some of the most affected communities right here on The Pulse.
These vehicles are not accident vehicles. They were pushed down by the water. These vehicles, 2 of them, the other one is there. But people have to eat, so they're just salvaging what they can, sell as scraps because our monies are gone.
Plus, the NPP internal race. This afternoon, we're putting a spotlight on Musa Superior, a former mayor of Tamale, who is seeking the mandate of delegates to be the next general secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Will the party give him a chance to lead the governing field into the next 2024 elections? We'll discover all of that shortly here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities Dignity Lu, affordable, safe sanitation. This afternoon as well, we're streaming live on YouTube on all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV, Twitter at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Sogah. Always a pleasure serving you here on The Pulse. Please stay. Well, this afternoon, if you see something, say something. That's the call from government of Ghana as it commences a nationwide awareness drive seeking to scale up security consciousness in the wake of intelligence reports suggesting an imminent terror attack on the country. The National Security Ministry earlier today outdoored a comprehensive plan which it believes will create an awareness on the matter. Well, addressing a gathering at an official ceremony a while ago, National Security Minister Albert Kandapa called on Ghanaians to support the government's quest to ensure peace and security.
The See Something, Say Something campaign, therefore, is a critical preventative measure by the Ministry of National Security and the other security ministries to, first of all, empower Ghanaians to be more conscious about their own security, and secondly, to enhance their relationship with state security authorities. See Something, Say Something campaign is one of the many measures currently being undertaken by the ministry to safeguard the country against terrorism and violent extremism. Numerous kinetic and non-kinetic approaches continue to be implemented in that regard. Ghanaians must therefore be rest assured that the state security and intelligence architecture is working tirelessly to protect them against any such attack. But it is also important to state that the campaign is not aimed at creating panic among the citizenry. We certainly are not panicking. Rather, it is geared toward bolstering the confidence of the public to swiftly report suspicious activities in their communities to the relevant security and intelligence agencies. And let me also state of the possible misinformation that could be targeted at creating fear and panic. As a result, the See Something, Say Something campaign shall be run concurrently with a vigorous campaign against any misinformation that seeks to create unnecessary fear and panic among the citizenry. The Ministry of National Security and the other security ministries are counting on you, the public, to take ownership of this campaign as a way of supporting state security and intelligence agencies to reduce the threat of an attack in Ghana. We, on our part, will do all we can to safeguard the peace and stability of our dear country.
Well, so that's National Security Minister Albert Kandapah speaking a while ago, but there's a need for us to explore the matters further. In fact, what's the best strategy for government to adopt in this very challenging times? Joining me in studio now is security analyst Dip Sani. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It's, of course, now official. If you see something, say something. That's how government is terming this awareness creation. For you, what should be paramount?
Well, I see something, say something is similar to the U.S. Department of State for Homeland Security. Their slogan, if you get to the U.S. at train stations, you see it written all over the place. I think it's a good call. It's a timely intervention because I've always said that there's absolutely no way government can do it alone. National Security Ministry cannot do it alone. They need the people to be part and parcel of that whole initiative or strategy. In the past, there's always a tendency to, as it were, keep the threat under wrap because perhaps they didn't want to create fear and panic. But it took the intervention of CSOs to draw the attention of the nation to the fact that the threat is looming and it has become dire than we have ever seen before in the history of Ghana. In the US, for example, at the end of every year, there's what they call annual threat assessment, which is available to the general population for them to not just understand but appreciate the threats and what they can do at the individual and community level to complement government efforts. So it is a great intervention, but I'm hoping that there's a strategy to implementing this effectively.
And I'm sure you've heard this on countless occasions. The argument has been, why not focus on the security agencies? Because in the end, they have that primary responsibility of protecting the citizens.
Well, they are also an important stakeholder, but the most important stakeholder to this is the citizens. Most of the intelligence they get are from civilian sources, and we cannot have security operatives everywhere all the time. Hence, the need to make the people very much an integral part of the whole process. The terrorists are in our communities. They are our neighbors. They are our siblings. They are our fathers. They are our mothers. What would motivate me to give out one of my own? So you see, they always hide under the cover of the communities. But now we have to get the communities to understand that this security thing we are doing is to ensure your own safety. Okay, so that's why I find this important, because like I always say, there is no way government can do this alone.
And since government can't do this alone, obviously there'll be some demands on the side of the public. What should we be doing to complement the government's effort? We heard the National Security Minister talking about the need for the citizenry to participate in this program. What should we be doing to help that cause?
Well, in the past, the National Security Ministry, I don't know whether it is a PR gone wrong, made it look like a mysterious organization. No, but you are there to serve the people. And we have elements, different elements of security. We have the overt part and the covert. Okay, so maybe fine with the covert is not the football game, so you don't expect live commentary. Yeah. But there is some information that people need to know. If they don't know, how would they understand? How would they appreciate? How would they own? That is why information is extremely key. Right. And going forward, I would expect the National Security Ministry to collaborate with civil society organizations. When I go...
You feel that's not happening enough?
It's not good enough. Absolutely. I don't want to use certain words, but they've performed abysmally at that. And unfortunately, I've also come to one realization. A lot of the top people there are so emotional. So when you criticize them, then they begin to have issues. But it is the best answer to this. I mean, there's no help as good as being criticized, because you will definitely be helping them do their work.
Party colors in this.
Absolutely not. Absolutely, because this is about the safety of the country. I'm not sure when the terrorists come in, they are going to ask whether you are an NDC or NPP before they attack you. The unfortunate thing also is we've had to wait for some time before coming out with this initiative. As a result, the focus has now shifted from just border security to homeland security. But if we had gotten it right in the past, the focus would have been more on border security. So we are able to prevent these people from coming in.
So what you mean to say is that infiltration has happened. And I've heard you on a number of occasions say on this platform that, for instance, there's a UN report, correct me if I'm wrong,
yes, there's a
pointing
UN
to the
report.
fact that there's some basis already.
Absolutely. That was published earlier this year. That pointed to a terrorist warehouse, to be specific, ISIS in the Greater Sahara, in Ghana, in Togo, and of course in Benin. So the terrorism threat has been looming for far too long. And I don't want to believe that the National Security Ministry is a firefighting organization, that we had to wait all this while. It had to take the intervention of civil society before we woke up to the fact that, hey, indeed, the danger is looming and we have to be quick to respond. And that is one of the biggest challenges I've had with the whole national security setup in Ghana. We are so reactive rather than being proactive, because the most important element, and the National Security Minister couldn't have gotten it any better. He said that the most important element is preventative. And that is very key. Okay, so if you wait for things to spiral out of control, I mean, we saw all that is happening today, to be honest, should have happened 2 years ago.
Well, anyway, we found ourselves here. My utmost concern is the Ghanaian out there. And we don't want to have a lot of people terrified, I guess, once we're hearing about this conversation on terrorism. So try and break it down for us. Practically speaking, what's the least definition for that situation? What would happen to trigger that alert to say, well, by all standards, this is a terrorist situation, for me to either call the police service or to alert whichever security agency? Okay,
so this is what I expected government to do, rather than just announcing for people to be alert. Right. You and I might make sense of it, but the Makola woman selling tomatoes out there, or the young man selling second-hand clothing at Kantamanto, he wouldn't really understand, owing to the fact that a lot of Ghanaians are not security conscious. I mean, I sell security systems. You see someone put up a multi-million-dollar facility, you ask that he dedicates 5,000 cedis to improve security. He goes like, oh, it's safe, until something happens. So we always wait for something to happen before we react. So I think that it's important to be alert. When someone asks you questions beyond mere curiosity, is this where the minister is? What car does he use? What's the number plate? What time does he come home? What time does he leave home? Something is amiss.
So asking very, very personal questions.
Very personal questions beyond mere curiosity. We are in the studios of JoyNews. It is out of reach to the general population. So what they do is to test your system. So he can behave like he's mistakenly entered your studios. When you catch him, he goes like, oh, I was actually going there, just to test the strength and weaknesses of your facility. And if someone is gathering a lot of multimedia t-shirts, when he has nothing to do with multimedia, perhaps the person is trying to impersonate, okay? If you see a bag that is unattended to, don't assume there's money in it, so it's your lucky day. It could be a bomb, okay? And I would also wish to take advantage of this to appeal to the National Security Ministry to issue directives to management of the various shopping malls to introduce at least metal detector checks.
So this should be mandatory?
Yes, it should be mandatory because it would add, it's not the ultimate, by the way, just that it would add a bit of a layer of protection to anywhere people gather en masse. As much as we can, we need to add that little layer of protection.
And once we wrap up on this, we understand, and I'm getting that detail now, that the National Security Minister will be visiting the Chief Imam any moment from now. That brings into sharp focus the religious centers and various groupings across the country. What's your expectation of them?
I'm hoping that they educate, especially young people in the mosques, in the churches, because a lot of them are without jobs. I mean, just go to Nima, Mamobi, Jamestown, and the rest. You see them seated under trees from morning up until 2, 3 a.m. talking about everything to how much someone has, you know. They are in a state of uncertainty. They are desperate. So these terrorists don't have to come in person to recruit, but by the power of social media, they are able to get these young people because they take advantage of local grievances. So as much as we can, let us educate young people to be mindful of these people who would promise them heaven and earth. Only for them to get there, they give them suicide vest. At the same time, our religious leaders will also have to tone down. Sometimes the things they say honestly doesn't sound good to my ears. Sometimes some of them look more like an incitement. So as the father of all Muslims in the country, it is a timely visit. So at least we are able to impress on the various imams at the very regional level, the very decentralized level, to be mindful of the things they preach in the mosque. So it doesn't serve as a catalyst.
But you believe that, given the current system we'll be able to weather the storm?
It is a difficult situation. I must say, it is a difficult situation. But there's still that window of opportunity for us to get things done right. But like I indicated, at this time, one of the most important strategic things the National Security Ministry would have to do to make up for the wrongs in the past would be to effectively collaborate with civil society. We are down there. We are in contact with the people. We know what is happening on the ground. When we are able to do that effectively and improve intelligence as well, we should be able to prevent any such thing from happening.
Adib Sani, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us here on The Pulse.
My pleasure.
Now, Parliament is resuming from recess, and this afternoon the Privileges Committee has already served notice that it will definitely commence hearing in a case that involves some 3 MPs, members of Parliament, referred to the committee by Speaker Alban Bagbin on grounds of absenteeism. We know that on Thursday, May 26, 2022, the Domi Kwabena MP as well, together with Henry Korte and others, including Kennedy Ejapon as well, will be appearing before the Privileges Committee. Ranking member on that committee, Ricky Tegan, has been speaking to my colleague Parker Wilson in Parliament.
People have been absent and all that. With all this information, we have gathered them from the table office. So that's what we are going to be working on now. It's for us to physically meet, here tomorrow. Hopefully, unfortunately, there is a Mozambique president coming to the House tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Our meeting was supposed to be at 11. So I have, last night, tried to discuss with the chairman to try and see if we can push it back, to the afternoon. Because obviously the gentleman, the president, will not finish by 11 o'clock for us to have it. So that's what is going to happen.
I'm curious, have you written officially to the 3 MPs?
Well, I was just coming to that. Okay. I think you are ahead of the game. So 25th, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, is when we'll have this maiden meeting. 26th, which is a Thursday, I believe. Thursday, yes, is when we will invite the first, person in the name of Honorable Henry Cottee. Will be the first person. At the moment, it's an in-camera, but obviously tomorrow's meeting will put all the modalities together as to exactly how we are going to conduct it. But invitation has gone out as far as I'm concerned.
The 3 MPs?
Yes, the 3 MPs. So I've given you...
Have they responded?
Let's hold on. I've given you the 26th of Honorable Henry Cottee. The 27th, which is the Friday, is Honorable Adjoa Safo. 31st, which is the following Monday, I believe, is Honorable Kennedy Japan. Now, we got a response from Honorable Kennedy Japan that he was going for a medical review in the state. So if you want to see, if you want to understand the way we've done the order of meeting them, it's the reason why Honorable Kennedy Japan's one is the last one, because he is informed that he's going on review in I believe in the US, and will not be around until about 28, 29. So that's why he's the last person. I am yet to find out whether we have, obviously he responded because he needed time. So he was asking for permission for us to give him time. I haven't, as far as I'm concerned, I have not received any such. Normally these things will come to the clerk's office. I have not been informed by the clerk that they have either, said they can't come or whatever. So I assume that if they have received the invite, then we expect to see them. Only Honorable Kennedy Japan is the one that I know that has asked for a permission, which myself and the chairman discuss, First Deputy Speaker, discuss, and we oblige that he can have that. So this is the timetable, and that's what hopefully, without any hinges or anything, we'll be going by. Tomorrow's meeting, as I said, we'll have
at the modalities.
Yeah,
right.
We'll look at the modalities.
That's fine. But for me, has Adjoa Safo indicated her readiness to appear before the committee?
Well, she's a member of Parliament, right. And then I expect that she knows that the what do you call this has happened, and he basically the Speaker has authorized us to look into the case. So I expect that she's aware of what is going on. As I said, I have not personally, sort of reached her, and of course, I'm not to do that. It is to be done by the clerk of the...
So what happens to an MP who fails to disregard this invitation from this committee?
Well, that is a contempt of Parliament, straight away. So if you do that, you are further complicating, your situation. Because, we are under obligation here to obey the law and the constitution of this country. And a member of Parliament should know better. And this is a very serious matter. That is to do with your being in this house or not. And I don't think that as an MP, what you go through to become an MP, it's not easy. To arrive here wanting to serve your people, and then there's an issue that you have to come and answer. I mean, there might be a legitimate reason why people were absent and did not ask permission. But that is why we've been asked to look into that matter. I mean, if you get knocked by a bus, God forbid, and you are taken to a hospital and you are in a coma, and you are not able to communicate to Parliament, and you are there for a month, the same laws will apply to you. But then when you are out of that coma, you will have to come and explain yourself. Or somebody will have to send something on your behalf, to do that. But the person might not know. And we've all been sick or been indisposed in one way or another, and we communicate to Parliament to say that this is the situation. When the time lapses, you have to take a new permission.
Well, so the implications have been clearly laid out. Joining me now on Zoom is former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak. He's joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So here we are. The date has been set by the Privileges Committee. The expectation is that the committee will begin to hear the cases. But, I mean, judging from your experience in Parliament, do you see this ending anytime soon?
Well, I mean, good afternoon. The members of the committee are men with a lot of integrity, and I'm hopeful that the outcome would be in the best national interest. I am hopeful that members of parliament who have breached our laws would be made to face the consequences, just as the ordinary Ghanaian. So it's a clear case, a clear-cut issue. Obviously, if people, decided not to avail themselves, then that would further complicate their issue, and I do not think that we should spend so much time on this particular issue, because in any jurisdiction, there's no government a country that will put up with this kind of behavior, where people are paid at the end of the month, yet they decide not to come to work and decide not to explain to Parliament why they are unable to come to work. If you were running your private business and your workers did not avail themselves to work, you would have cause to relieve them of their position. So Parliament has a lot of work to do in terms of restoring public trust in its work, and I am very, very confident and hopeful that the committee would do justice to the issue.
The belief was that there was wide consensus on the matter in Parliament, and yet we're finding even some members of your political party, your side of the House at the time and now as well, for instance, the Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, who's gone public to criticize the Speaker on his decision to refer the MPs to the Privileges Committee. So it appears there's no consensus as of now.
Well, the leadership of the minority in Parliament has lost touch, so there's no two ways about that. And I don't think we should waste time, discussing the leadership of the minority, especially
crucial.
When we look. I'm sorry?
You agree that these voices are crucial in whatever decision that may be taken in the coming days?
I expect that members of the Privileges Committee would defy whatever order would come from any quarter, not to put the national interest first. We're talking about the best interest of Mother Ghana. People are paying their taxes. And when they do pay their taxes, they expect, elected legislators to be in the House and discharge or dispense of the business of, running Parliament. And so if a few people have decided, to disobey the laws, anyone who stands in their way stands in the way of the committee in discharging its duty should be, disregarded. I obviously, like many other Ghanaians, are very disappointed with the posturing of the minority in Parliament, and I am very confident because there are a lot of men on the minority side who are on the Privileges Committee with a lot of integrity. Their integrity would be on the line. Now, this would be a test of whether or not they are serious about putting the national interest first. And I am confident that at the end of the day, those with the best intent of putting the national interest would win over those who are not interested in the national. Who are not interested in the national interest.
But Ras, to be fair, even the time during which you were in Parliament, we know that there was the issue of absenteeism. It's not necessarily new, and in fact, looking at some of the names that we have. You have, for instance, the Greater Accra Regional Minister. We know that he's not been too well. And also Kennedy Ejapon as well. Some of these persons publicly have stated on record their health conditions. So it appears that may be an easy way out for these two individuals.
That cannot be an extenuating circumstance. That cannot be a way out. That cannot be an excuse. As a matter of fact, if the president were to be incapacitated in discharging his duties as the president of the republic, the Constitution enjoins us, to have him replaced. So I don't see why we would make excuses for members of Parliament. And
I believe specifically you're being fixated on Adjoa Safon, right? Because these two MPs you're talking about.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, all the persons who have been named, have been very good friends of mine. The Honorable Kennedy Ejapon was my committee chair when I was in Parliament on the Communications Committee. We have a very good relationship. I served on the same committee with the Honorable Kojokum. Adjoa and I are good friends, and so is the regional minister. But when it comes to what is in the best interest of Ghana, we can't put our relationships above what is in the best interest of Ghana. And I see anyone who stands in the way of a committee's work, to make sure we restore public trust in politics, as not, putting the national interest first. And again, I'll reiterate, if anyone from either side decide to railroad or stampede the process, I would expect that members of the committee who are men and women of integrity would defy, such persons who are not putting the national interest first.
And I guess all of this, you're very much conversant with the processes. Even if the committee approves some sanctions, that may go before plenary if there is any form of division. So the question is, do you see...
Opinion,
right.
Opinion is divided on that. I mean, there's one school of thought that believes that once the committee decides, that should be the end of the matter.
But at least we're setting that, looking at the nature of individuals involved in this case, this would definitely go to plenary, and there's a likelihood, very clear indications that it may not pass the test.
You're making it sound as if certain persons, above the law. Well, they may as well be persons who punch above their weight, but certainly not above the laws of our country, and there should be no exception. If the president is incapacitated, he will be replaced, and so must any other, a person who is paid from the public purse. And I would be exceedingly disappointed if we were to make excuses for persons, who can discharge of their work.
Okay, then we need to go, but finally...
The public expects better from our elected legislators.
All right, then we need to go, but finally, you've spoken of the fond memories you have of Sarah Adjasafo. At least she has another opportunity to appear before Parliament. At least she's been elected. So what's your expectation of her? At least we know that the invite has been sent to all members of Parliament. Do you feel, and do you sense that she will turn up?
To be honest with you, I've been disappointed in her because how long has she been away for? I've lost count. Anyone with an ounce of integrity would step aside. In any serious democracy, that is what would happen. You can't hold on to a job for how long now? And whatever the excuses, your constituents deserve to be represented. So if there are situations that clash with your ability to be in Parliament, the just thing for your constituents would be for you to step aside. That would be, putting integrity above any other consideration. On that score, she had failed woefully, and it's disappointing because I had a lot of confidence that, look, in as much as she lost the job of being a member of Parliament, there should come a time when you can put that aside if there are conflicting interests.
Well, let's see how that will go, but I'm grateful that you've been able to spend some time with us here on The Pulse. I'm grateful. Ras Mubarak there. Now, let's talk politics. Of course, the internal contest of the New Patriotic Party is heating up as all candidates aspiring for the national leadership roles in the governing NPP have less than 2 months, or let's say a month, to the national elections. I'm talking about the executive level. We'll talk all about that and more right after this break. Please stay with us. And welcome back to The Pulse. Now, the internal elections of the New Patriotic Party is heating up as all candidates aspiring for the national leadership roles in the governing party have less than 2 months to seek the endorsement of party delegates ahead of a crucial national party conference slated for July this year. The NPP is set to hold regional level elections by the end of this month. Obviously, and even before that process ends, we're seeing the race heating up for the General Secretaryship role. And of course, that contest has some names which you are projecting on your screens now. We've heard, for instance, of the governing or incumbent General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Boydu. He's put out himself as going into that race. And we know that John Boydu is definitely the incumbent General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Then there's Justin Konya Frimpong. We've heard about him as well. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the YEA and a lawyer in that contest. But next is one man who we brought his interview to you last week Friday. My colleague Samuel Kojo Brace interacted with Charles Bisiu. He's a former presidential staffer and also a former secretary for the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Small-Scale Mining. So he's also in the race, also a regional executive of the party as we speak. There's Frederick Opariansa, who was earlier on the show before we aired that interview with Charles Bisiu Oparence also joined us. We know that he was one time, at least 4-time member of Parliament for one of the constituencies in the Eastern region, specifically Suhum constituency, and he says that he's also seeking the mandate of the delegates of the party. And here we are today, facing one man who's also giving his clear indications of contesting. He's currently the Deputy Chief Executive Officer for the Forestry Commission and the former mayor of Tamale. Musa Superior is my guest right here on The Pulse. And what a nice time to be seeing you, sir.
Good
Welcome
afternoon.
to the program.
Yes,
so
good in your suit.
Thank you so much. You're looking great as well.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I understand that you were in the Volta region over the weekend, and so I'm presuming that you've interacted with some of the party delegates, and what indications are you picking up from the grounds?
It was great. It was great. Volta region was great. I was there over the weekend, and one of my key responsibilities in the Volta region was to first of all speak to our party people and engage them in the project to galvanize our energies for 2024. Secondly, I also announced to them formally my intention to contest for the position of General Secretary of our party. We're going around the country, every aspirant or everybody seeking to gain a position in the MPP in July, you've got to reach out to the delegates. So one of our strategy is to do constituency by constituency. So in the Volta region, we did 11 constituencies out of the 18 just for 2 days. We're going back to the Volta region next week, and I can assure you that the MPP people in the Volta region are up. They are very assertive. They're looking for it for a very judicious contest, a contest that is going to produce the most excellent team so that we can go into the contest and deliver for the MPP in 2024.
We'll get into all of that, even the 2024 elections, but how would you describe the campaign process for you so far?
Oh, it's been absolutely brilliant. And for me, I mean, a grassroots person, somebody who has been a member of this party, in fact, a member before the party was pronounced.
Really?
Yeah, the group that formed the party at the age of 21, I was a member of the Danko Buzia Club in the early 1990s. I mean, the then chairman of the Danko Buzia Club in Tamale, Alaji Araya Lasan of blessed memory, later became the vice presidential candidate of Professor Dubois in 1992. So we worked through the ranks and file of the party. I've been a tough, serious grassroots communicator of the party since 1992. And then in 1996, I was the founder of the Young Elephants Club. And then moving forward in 2005, I contested for the position of national organizer. So this is not my first contest at the national level. I did, and I contested with the current director of operations at the office of the president and a former deputy minister for presidential affairs, Alhaji Mukhtar Bamba. That was the 2005 conference in Accra. Then in 2011, I contested for the position to be nominated for MPP parliamentary candidate for Tamale Central. In fact, I did that contest whilst I was away. And then I got 72% of the endorsement of the people of Tamale, the delegates of the Tamale Central constituency. And then I became the official nominee of the party for the 2012 parliamentary elections. I contested with my brother, Honorable Yunus Hussein, who won the seat. And then I think he went on to become a minister for
Lands,
Rose,
and
or
also
Lands, one of the ministers. But he was later promoted to Lands and Forestry then. Of course, moving forward, in 2014, the former General Secretary of their party appointed me to become his special assistant at the party headquarters. I had worked with him for a year until I got my appointment to work with the then presidential candidate of the MPP, Nanado Denko Kufuado, to become his senior campaign aide in the 2016 election. So you can see the consistent flow of my participation in the MPP activity. It hasn't been just some 5 years ago.
You've been there from the inception.
From the scratch, you know.
Have you always looked up for this one day when you'll become General Secretary, or perhaps you're taking on this role because you believe something is just not right?
I've always wanted a firm, reasonable, meaningful participation of myself into the MPP, so that collectively we can always have a stronger, one-fit-size MPP to deliver what we want. So at any particular point in time, I have been a very, very strong participant in the party's progress. And now I think that I should go for this.
So you're saying this is not just about, for instance, John Boydu, who's not delivered well for the party, and so you believe, well, we need to change leadership?
Of course, one of the reasons why I want to go for the position of the General Secretary is the abysmal performance of the current executive, including the office of the current General Secretary.
You believe they haven't done well?
I don't believe they did well. I mean, the record shows that they haven't done well. You have a mandate between 2018 and 2022. That is a mandate. It's a mandate for you to deliver. Winning an election is part of the mandate. So if you delivered an election in 2020 and the election has become an abysmal poor performance compared to the election we had in 2026, it shows that there's a problem somewhere. And these deficiencies, we all have a responsibility as party people to identify these deficiencies in the structure of their party and correct them for 2024. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem for us.
I'll ask you about the chances of the party going into 2024, but I need to state that we've spoken to almost all of the candidates, including John Bono himself. I'm sure that you've monitored that. He says, I mean, the likes of yourself and others who are contesting him, you don't necessarily have the experience to carry the party into such a crucial elections in 2024.
That's a very poor propaganda work. You know, I mean, if he's talking about experience, where was the experience when we had done this poor delivery in 2020? Where was the experience when the party people have been complaining all over the country that there haven't been any tangible program to empower them? That's not what we're talking about. Every single person who is contesting this election, if you look at the history, has performed his role, he's paid his dues, he's done some sort of work in their party. Now, what the party is looking for is capacity and competence. And that is what I'm bringing on board, so that we can galvanize the energies of our party people at the basic level and encourage them and push them in a very assertive and purposeful position, so that we can look forward to establishing, you know, a reasonable sense of belief that the 2024 elections is going to be our taking. Look, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has done so well, so extremely well. In fact, I argue, I have always argued, and I will always continue to argue that he is probably the best president this country has ever produced.
Really?
I mean, that is my argument, and we can do this argument another time.
Yeah, but for now, let's focus on the MPP.
Yes.
Right?
So because of his performance as the MPP performance led by Akufo-Addo and his cabinet, it does appear that we are about 50% ahead of the NDC for 2024. But we have to be able to get this party back to work. There are thousands of MPP people who have silently resigned. I have a responsibility to re-recruit them and encourage them and tell them that, look, we are not going to have the status quo again. We're going to dismantle it, re-prepare their party, and make sure that every foot soldier of their party, every constituency officer, every polling station officer, every electoral area coordinator, we engage with them and put them into a situation where they think that there's a plan they're looking
But I want to get your points clearly. Are you suggesting that, for instance, what happened during the 2020 elections had nothing to do with what some describe as the poor performance of the NPP in government? And you seem to be laying all of the blame at the doorstep of one man,
because that
who perhaps may not necessarily have the opportunity in terms of reins of government. You were a government appointee, you are still a government appointee now. Some say it's because of your inactions as appointees, and that's why the people of Ghana cast a verdict on you in such a manner. So this is not necessarily a party matter.
That assessment is not an accurate assessment, because it is not true that we perform so badly. I mean, Akufo-Addo is leading a government and started a government at the time that the global pandemic came. In fact, if it was NDC or any other political party or any other person in that situation, I'm sure that this country would have collapsed. And you know what is going on. The whole world, the entire international community have given him plus. They say he's done so well. He's, performed well. So our performance, if you look at our manifesto in 2016, everything we have said in our manifesto, we have either delivered them or nearing.
And this was an MPP manifesto. So if you're giving credit, give credit to John Bono as well. He's done well, isn't it?
Of course, he will be giving credit where it is due. But what I'm saying is that you cannot have a party which had 169 seats in Parliament in 2006. And of course, the preparation for the 169 seat, the kind of work that was done by the former General Secretary, not John Boydo.
Right.
And he got the party well prepared, organized it, prepared it well for the 2000.
Okay, so now I get your argument. So you are saying let's decouple what it is that has happened to the party reorganization structures from what John Boydo has contributed to the party. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, his contribution is, nobody can, argue that he hasn't contributed. He's been a young man, followed this party through. But this time, we are in a very, very difficult stage. We need somebody who can mobilize and provide excitement.
Okay, so let's get into it. If the NPP were to be standing right in front of you, what would you fix about the NPP? What would you correct about the NPP?
So many things. But one is to try and make sure that this party is now managed from bottom to top. We've been managing the party for far too long from Accra, concentrating Accra. And if you go to the countryside, you realize that the party is completely disregarded. Our offices are broken down. Our officers do not have the logistics to work. All the special organs of the party, the youth wing, the women's wing, the Nasara wing, they are all operating at zero strength. You can commission a research. I know you're a very credible group here. You can commission a research. People are not working because they don't have the resources to work. And we're saying that it is the responsibility of the national executive of the party to make sure that the party is active. As we speak, the spirit of the party is gone and requires tenacity to be able to get it back. And
some political watchers would tell you, well, that's the tradition of the NPP. You are there since the inception. Would you say, would you believe with that? Because the point is, well, this is an elitist party. I'm sure that you've heard that argument most of the time. So if it's been run from Accra, what necessarily is the big deal? That may be a criticism.
That has been a propaganda. I mean, and I don't accept that. It has been a propaganda. This party, the kinds of people, who formed this party, were very local people across board. They were very local people, very, very local people. I'm talking, if you come to Tamale, for example, you're talking of people like Ajia Maria Masampaga, Alaji Saidi. They were all uneducated. In fact, the large membership of the Northern People's Party and the National Liberation Movement, and of course the Togoland Congress and the Anlo Youth Organization, large majority of their membership were uneducated. And that is the beginning of the UP tradition. So it was a propaganda, just to undermine us and to tell the Ghanaian people that, oh, these are educated people, they cannot think with you, they think you are stupid. That is what the NDC. So this whole elitism started from an NDC propaganda. That is not true. What we're saying is that this time the party has to change, and we have to now running the party from bottom to top. And to do that means you will have to have a proper and effective activity plan. And the activity plan will indicate where a national officer A will be in a particular month, where a national officer B would be in a particular month. And as General Secretary, it's important that we introduce the Dambuchi Lord Comey model.
Just break that down.
Yeah, the Dambuchi Lord Comey model was a super model. It was all over the country. They didn't spend days in Accra holding meetings. Of course, they would normally come and do these things, but they were always in the countryside talking to their party people and identifying the problems of their party people. Every activity plan produces an action plan or a needs assessment. So if you are out there visiting the party people on a formal working tour, you will see them tell you the problems. You're going to see the problems by yourself, and by the end of your tour, you have identified.
But at least we're receiving some reports already. You've seen the reorganization process start already. The polling station level elections were held. That of the constituency levels were done. And then we're hearing of the regional one, which is set to happen this weekend.
This weekend, yeah.
It's been characterized by violence and some attacks on even the party offices. You've seen such reports.
Yeah, because
as well.
the party was completely unprepared for it, and especially at the polling station level. But I don't want to talk about it because the party has set up a committee to investigate. But the beginning of the poll process was absolutely a disaster, and the blame must go directly on the head of the national executive for handling an unprepared procedure for the party to begin our elections. But at the electoral area, we had a few problems in the constituency, a few problems. We expect that at the national, there shouldn't be problems, so that we can all get together and focus, come to Accra in July and choose our leadership.
And the regional ones, that's what's next.
Yeah.
We're obviously expecting that throughout the weekend that will be happening. What's your message to delegates?
In fact, I've issued a statement, and in the statement I have told delegates to elect people who believe in the party first agenda mantra. To believe in the party means you can believe that the party has a program to be able to deliver so that our government will continue. I mean, to serve a party means you believe in their party. So we have to be able to believe in their party and choose dedicated, committed, selfless people to lead their party. Because the only way you can be able to attract people and recruit people and even go and campaign people to join your party is when you have social authority in the community. We're looking for people who are committed, who can help empower our people. The moment you empower our people economically or financially, they gain social authority. And when they gain social authority, they're able to use it to mobilize and organize people in their communities to join their party for the bigger onslaught in 2024.
So that's what you're on the lookout for.
That is exactly the bid, the bid of the Musa Superior People's Campaign.
You want it to be holistic, I presume. You want it to run from bottom up all the way to the top.
That should be the case. And any institution, in fact, in Joy FM here, multimedia, I mean, the best way you can deliver is to make sure that your security officers, casual workers, cleaners, and all these people, you look after them. That approach is the best approach. In fact, it has been the best approach for even big companies around the world. And that is what we are going to introduce so that we can pay greater attention to our polling station officers. There are over 180,000. And there are officers all over the country manning and working at our polling stations and delivering and attending funerals, social events, weddings, and looking after our party there. So it is critical that the national party should be able to put a plan in place to look after them.
At least we know that time is running out. You have a few days to sell your message to the delegates as well. What exactly are you selling to them?
I'm telling them that we need somebody who has the capacity not only to address the challenges in the party and make sure that the party is stronger and fit for 2024, but you also need people who can stand whoever the NDC is going to choose as a general secretary. So the person must be strong, the person must be courageous, he must be assertive, he must be strategically minded, he must also be multitasking. That is the kind of person we need, because the bigger battle, this intra-party contest, it's going to go quietly, and we are hoping and praying that we have a very peaceful
but some would say it's not going anytime soon, particularly as we know that there's at least a 6 months gap between your election as national executives and that of the presidential candidates. It's one of the big spots of the party, something that if you don't manage well, you risk losing the next election. So, I mean, that's assuming without admitting that Ghanaians will give you a second chance. But looking at what's happening now, some political watchers have said there's a sharp divide creeping into the party now that we know of some names, including the Vice President, Alan Termating. You've heard some of these names as well. How do you feel the party should be handling such internal wrangling that is coming up already?
It's quite normal. In fact, we have never had a heated presidential argument or presidential run than the one we had in 1992 in Sunyani, 1998 in Sunyani. Our party came out stronger. It has always been like that. We are the first timers. We believe in democracy. In fact, the values, the likes of B.J. Rocha, Sylvain Kreku, and the rest, they left some values for us. Election, democracy, competition, transparency, diversity, and liberty. And these values are the values that underpin the UP tradition and the MPP in particular. So I can tell you, whatever you are hearing is normal thing. It's a democratic process. People have the right.
You feel it won't degenerate? It won't break the ranks of the MPP?
No. It's never happened. We've had primaries to choose for our presidential candidate since 1992. And any time the primaries are done and the candidate is choosing, we all come behind, push the candidate to win.
Are you then making the argument that, for instance, if the NPP were to be presented to the people of Ghana as of today, regardless of the political, the party candidate you may be fielding, you win the 2024 elections?
The issue is that we are ahead of the NDC because of the performance.
What's supporting that, particularly when we know there are reports out there? I'm sure you've heard of the EIU report. The EIU, for instance, is predicting that you may not win the 2024 elections.
Told you. That is the prediction of EIU, but I'm telling you from the facts, my assessment is that we are ahead of the NDC in this election, the 2024 election, and in this campaign. The kinds of things we can tell Ghanaians, they will have no message for Ghanaians. So what we're saying is that this 50% mark for the MPP, then the party must work hard so that we can come in strongly and then get our presidential whoever is going to be chosen.
What's giving you that upper hand over the National Democratic Congress?
I just told you our performance. The performance of this government has been absolutely brilliant. There's anybody who wants to talk the other way around is doing propaganda. That's a fact.
The economy is not doing well today. Journalists are being attacked.
Every economy in the world.
You're being downgraded.
Every economy in the world.
That's
today.
the reality that's facing
every
today.
economy in the world is not doing. In fact, some economies are doing so terrible than Ghana's economy. Economies you think might have been doing well, they're struggling. The US economy is struggling. Mortgages are down. There's homelessness has increased. In fact, the US government has been running to Congress for money to shore up the economy. In the UK, similar things are happening. In Canada, everywhere in the world. Because
Mr. Superior, that's why I'm happy you were one-time campaign aide to then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He's now president. He criticized John Evans Mills, and I know that you recall clearly. He says you were elected to fix the problem. That's what he told the president.
At the time, John Evans felt miserable to fix the problem. There was no global pandemic. And this is what you have to clearly identify. It's very, very important that this is communicated clearly. Everywhere in the world, according to the World Bank and the IMF, the economy is really under pressure. And it's not going to end anytime soon. So this reality must be communicated clearly to the Ghanaian people. We are having these problems. In fact, between 2017 and 2020, you saw that the whole country, everybody was happy, including you, my brother.
Oh, well, you're not certain about that, are you?
So you see that when, I think COVID started in 2019, and by 2020 it was declared a global pandemic. And that was the time the second term of Akufo-Addo's government came in. And throughout the Akufo-Addo's government, he was faced with COVID. And he's got to try and find
the World Bank is challenging those claims. We've heard from the country director indicate that the signs were there. Those are his words. The signs were there even before the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, the science has always been there. I mean, if you look...
So that clearly tells you it's not necessarily the pandemic as you're always saying.
If you read the full version of the report carefully, the analysis the World Bank has done, if you look at the countries involved, every country had a problem with some bit of the economy, including Ghana. So that small negative analysis of Ghana's economy was not akin to Ghana alone. It was several other countries. And when COVID came, the devastation started. And I tell you, it's just the indefatigability of this president and the resilience of our cabinet and the Ghanaian people. Today we are where we are today. I don't want to mention names of other African countries here. That would be terrible. But I'm telling you, today, their economy is completely zero.
Anyway, we need to go. Your delegates are watching you. You have an opportunity. Just your final words to them as we wrap up on this conversation.
We need to get our party revived. If we want to get our party revived, we've got to repair the party. And the only way we can repair the party is to select people who can think outside the box, who are smart, who are assertive, and who can work very, very closely with our party people on the ground so that we can build a party strongly from bottom to top. And when we do that, it means that we are able to provide what I describe as social power for our party people. And then the organization will continue for 2024 elections. And then we're going to deliver it, and then the MPP government will continue to do the great things for our country.
And that's Musa Superior, the General Secretary hopeful, one of them, of the New Patriotic Party. But there's a lot happening ahead of the weekend's delegates conference. Of course, we know that in the Bono region as well, that will be taking place on Sunday, May 29. That they'll be going to the polls to elect regional executives for the NPP in Sunyani to run the affairs of the party. There's more in this report for you.
The Bono regional executive elections of the New Patriotic Party are set for Sunday, May 29, 2022, with 26 candidates, including 3 females, vying for 10 positions. While some incumbent executives have competitors trying to unseat them, others are also going for higher positions. Regional NADMO boss and current organizer Rashid Kolambeg is contesting the incumbent chairman Kwame Bafo for the party's chairmanship position. He says he has what it takes to reorganize the party to regain its lost position.
The region that used to be the Buzia region, the JH Mensa region that we used to know that decides in our national elections. I am bringing up the energy that we lost over the years. I am bringing up a new strategies that will energize the constituency, revitalize the constituency, and for us to capture the losses.
Dorothy Amponsa and Doris Asuma are vying for the women's organizer position, while the incumbent secretary Kofi Ofosu-Boateng has Franklin Osei Entry and Ebenezer Asare Bafo as his challengers. But Kofi is confident the delegates will look at his track record and competence.
Everywhere I have been, delegates have given me the assurance that on 29th, when they are coming to Sunyani, they are going to give me the endorsement, and it will be a resounding endorsement for me to continue with the work that I have done. They know that I have the experience to shepherd the party into what now has become a clarion call by party people, which has been tagged as the Break the Eight. They know I have that capacity, I have the requisite skills, and I have the right temperament. And the fact that I know the terrain in the Blue region, having worked for a decade and a half here at the party secretariat, they have an enormous confidence in me that I will be able to perform. And indeed, I'm not going to disappoint them.
Kofi Ofosu-Boateng, however, wants all aspirants and delegates to put their shoulders on the wheel to ensure unity, even after the elections in Sunyani.
Unity is necessary that we can achieve the unity that we desire.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
And now the Ghana Prison Service is advocating for more collaboration to transform the prisons by providing formal and vocational education to convicts. Director General of the Ghana Prison Service believes this approach will equip the inmates with employable skills after serving their prison sentence. This, he says, will contribute to a drastic decrease in the surging social vices in the country. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Prison Service has since its establishment been tasked with the safe custody of convicts and the provision of reformation and rehabilitation for inmates. But its mandate has become critically evasive due to the exacerbating conditions at the prisons. Long term in jail under the alien state have rather rendered many convicts hardened criminals when released back into the society. Speaking at the launch of the Safwa project, Director General of Prisons, Isaac Kofi Ejui, noted a transformed prison is an effective panacea to the country's criminal justice system.
Besides affording the prisons to supplement inmates feeding by the government, imparting agricultural productive skill in inmates has been one of the priorities of the service training interventions. Permit me to reiterate that it is a common knowledge that a country's criminal justice administration system can effectively succeed in addressing crime and social activities with a recourse to prison system that constitutes the last segment of the chain. An effective prison system, therefore, is the panacea to an effective criminal justice system.
The Safwa project aims at unlocking the potentials of Ghana's inmates by equipping them with the requisite employable and vocational skills for easy reintegration into society. The initiative also seeks to end the social stigma and prejudice against ex-convicts through a public sensitization program.
Amidst all the plenty challenges,
Project lead Benedicta Safwa Asamoah hopes to reform the outdated criminal justice system in Ghana.
This is going to be a life-transforming project that is going to touch lives to the core. It is going to unlock and unearth relegated and dormant potentials that the society and the country at large has been missing and has lost.
Kenya's ambassador to Ghana, Eliphaz Barin, implored corporate Ghana and other philanthropic institutions to collaboratively support in transforming the prisons.
Once Mahatma Gandhi stated that if you want to change the world, begin with yourself. And that is what Safwa has boldly decided to do and taken a positive step in this gigantic task. I extend an appeal to those that are present here today, those Safwa has approached, and those that are watching and listening, to partner with her and to support this effort.
I am a prisoner. I have no place, and I am subjected to the decrees of the law.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Well, let's bring you to the Greater Accra region because the Kaneshie Polyclinic has been shut down. It is among dozens of facilities flooded following this morning's downpour. A number of major roads in Accra, including the Teshi, Weija, Kaneshie and its environs, homes as well as properties, including vehicles, have also been washed away by the flood. And you see excerpts of the psychiatric hospital as we speak along the Ring Road Central and just beside Paloma. We are also told that some victims have lined up along the Adabraka storm drain to salvage their wares carried away by the floods. We've been speaking to some victims of this morning.
This is how wide the exit point is, as narrow as that tube over there. So we have only 2 of them down there. So when the water goes, it just hits and comes back, hits and comes back. That is how come a wall that is as thick as this 9 inches block was able to be pushed down by the water. These vehicles are not accident vehicles. They were pushed down by the water. These vehicles, 2 of them, the other one is there. But you know, people have to eat, so they're just salvaging what they can, sell as scraps because our monies are gone. I've been wearing this thing since Saturday, someone's clothing, since Saturday. Everything is gone, everything is gone. At this particular point, as a matter of urgency, we want the government to deploy professionals, not job for the boys people, professionals, you know, who will come and lay concrete, well-structured walls along this path and then break that flyover over there, provide a proper exit point into the Odo. If not, this will be an annual problem, it will be a perennial problem, and all of us here will keep suffering. People have lived here for 30 years, and this is like the worst thing after. It's even more than June 3rd. If you can ask people, it's worse than. Just that the only thing that saved us is that this one around there was no fire. As you can see, you know, vehicles are in. 2 cars are down here. A car was almost in. The boys tried to push it out and sold it as scraps, just because, you know, monies are gone. They need to eat.
Bosu, mpenifo abuwa arasi we Ghana mpenifo mumbe cheye sesa ye ni da so bia bio adan hwe fie nanado midi nyankopon paucho be hwe me why who dey Ghana be hwe me sesa minda nyankopon minda akufado mituma oh abai mi wo asai mi dan nyina ya weak gota no mu ye mami mu ye gota no mami se na mu ye se bosu se mu betwa se mu hu ye agufado mi ka se mi po udi se wa ye bondi ana bibi ba wo ye mi papa usu ba wa be hwe me e na mi tuma o mi nim se wo ba ye dosu ba se se ade ma ye mmobo mi pouch ma ye mmobo be hwe baby am di mi ti be to crap me nim pacho ye ni baby da ye ti fom se me se ade asase se baby am da se se bosu mi ni bi enti se se me si me su crap o to me hwe me nim
Well, so help has come for 17-year-old Dauda Zakia of the Tolon Senior High School, who lost everything in a fire that gutted the school girls' dormitory Thursday, 19th May. Now, Zakia had said in an interview she did not know the magic. Her parents were going to work to get the items she needed to return to school in just 1 week. She had cried her heart out when JoyNews interviewed her, but 3 generous people have donated 3,000 Ghana cedis for her to buy some items that she would need and keep for school. JoyNews' Northern Regional Correspondent has more.
It was a moment of joy for Zakia when she received her donation to begin shopping for school. 3 people had come in to support her. This time, she was full of smiles, not in the midst of tears but laughter. She had all she needed to return to school. Zakia had prayed for a miracle, and 3 benefactors appeared. She said if not for the donation, she didn't know how she was going to return to school.
I've forever grateful to the people who helped me to go back to school. If it was not the help of them, I wouldn't be able to go back to school. This means that I should study hard so that one day I'll also help people who are in need. I'm happy. I'll buy everything I need.
Dauda Feruza, Zakia's senior sister, said when Zakia first got admission to school, they had to buy the things bit by bit until they finished buying her things.
When she got the admission, we weren't able to buy everything in bulk. We were buying things step by step. She used to sell dates in the market and then butter and then rubbers. So we buy the things bit by bit. So we finally got to the end of it and she went to school. All of us did our best. Me, for instance, I was selling toffees to children at school because I'm unemployed now. My mother too was doing her petty business, and Zakia herself was selling dates in the market during the Ramadan, just for us to mobilize the money to be able to buy the things she needed to go to school. We are very grateful to the people who help us. This means a lot to us. I never thought there are some people who still have the heart to help, and I'm very grateful. We thank them very much.
One of the benefactors, Mohammed Shani, said for a young girl like Zakia to empathize with her parents' struggle showed a mark of intelligence that should be supported.
It really touched me because I thought a girl of her age being able to actually tell the story of her parents was a mark of intelligence. And I thought, to me, she has a lot of potentials in her, so that really moved me, and I really thought it wise to get in touch with you. So, to be honest with you, it is something I did with my brother Alhaji Salim.
And now, Director of Communications for the Malcolm Group of Companies, Godwin Venogbo, is calling on private institutions to support menstrual hygiene. This, according to him, will help increase enrollment of the girl child in schools. Gifty Corris has more in this report.
Menstrual Hygiene Day is an annual awareness day celebrated on May 28 every year to highlight the importance of good menstrual hygiene management at a global level. As part of preparations to commemorate this year's World Menstrual Hygiene Day, the Director of Communications for the Malcolm Group of Companies, Godwin Venogbo, urged corporate organizations to join hands to support the initiative.
What I prefer to do is to ask other corporate institutions to join hands with us. They can go on their own and support this girl-child education initiative. But for government to do it free, we have problem with free SHS. Are you aware of that? We're going to add sanitary pads to it. We have problem with feeding, school feeding. So we can't add too much to the burden of government. We, the private sector, can also help. And individuals who are wealthy in this country can also make inputs.
He spoke when Malcolm Care Foundation presented 164 cartons of sanitary pads and 85 cartons of drinks to Touching the Lives of Girls Foundation International in Accra.
164 cartons of sanitary pads. Cartons. You also asked for refreshment for the girls at the seminar. We are in short supply, but we are selling, so you can buy more in addition to what I'm going to say. She has approved 85 cartons of drinks also for you.
Category Manager for Guinness Ghana Brewers Limited, Ruth Lily Agbozo, however, explained to JoyNews the reason behind the donation.
We chose to come on board this project because Malcolm is one of our key stakeholders, and as part of our customer appreciation, we decided to support them with this project that they were embarking on. Personally, females are dear to our hearts. As part of projects in the office, we have gender diversity as part of the core things that we do as a business. So we support a lot of women. We try to incorporate women in our line of business a lot. And so hearing that Malcolm was partnering with Touching the Lives of Girls Foundation to support girls, I mean, it was quite laudable, and we decided to come on board to also support.
The Chief Executive Officer of Touching the Lives of Girls Foundation International, Nanama Educhumwa, elaborated on the need for menstrual education. She said this will help the girl child to have knowledge on menstrual hygiene. Touching the Lives of Girls Foundation International has, however, assured their endless support for the girl child. Give to Crowie's report for JoyNews.
And the story of a teenager in Kumasi who got the first book she authored whilst in class 6 advertised on Amazon is not only encouraging but also an inspiration to the youth. Michelle Adoma says 174-page book, Parents in the Dark, revealed how kids are highly exposed, especially in school, to the blind side of their parents and teachers. The teen actually has completed yet another to be published book as she dreams of becoming the best ever author in Ghana. She tells my colleague Ohimi Ntewia her motivation is to write, to entertain and save lives.
Michelle is very important to us. We know how important writing is.
Born to a family of 5, Michelle Adomasi has passion for writing, something she says is a divine gift. This teen author is able to generate and write stories from her environment without blinking an eye.
Many things influence my writing. If you drop a pen, you can write something about it. Like, you wouldn't know unless I told you that it's because of the pen you dropped that influences writing. So everything around me influences my writing. Every single thing.
Using real-life scenarios and the human environment in her books not only makes her books distinct from other fictional books, but the taste of her readers.
Some of these places actually interest the readers. They want a story that is real. That makes them feel like they are in the book, they are part of the story going on, like they are the main character.
Michelle has since her infancy displayed extraordinary talent and skills, both home and school, topping her class. Her teachers at the Ridge School in Kumasi are happy about her exploits.
She was good in all aspects. She was on top of the class, and I wasn't surprised she has authored a book.
For Michelle, juggling writing with her academic work and house chores is not a big deal.
There's always time, because my school has taught us to plan our time well. So when you plan, I plan that at this time I must write, or at this time I must write. If there's a chore I must do, I make sure I do it before the time to write comes.
Michelle's readers love her pieces for one thing. They visualize imaginary characters as if they are standing in front of them. Her sister, Emanuela Inshabasi, a law student at KNUST, is one of them.
Whenever I read her stories, I get so much into the story. It's either I get angry and insult the characters, like they are real characters, or like I'm pleased with like the action the characters took, and it seems like it's real to me. Then later I'm like, oh, it's just a book, so let me just like relax.
Michelle's parents are happy at their daughter's exploits, describing it as an honor to the family. Though they funded the printing and production of Michelle's first book, they now lack the financial muscle to print the latest book.
Michelle has another book at the press, which we are trying to seek for support and sponsorship wherever it may come from. The first book had a volume of 200 pages. This second book has a volume of over 400 pages. And so from the estimate, we can think around between 15 to 20,000 to be able to come up with 500 or more.
14 author Michelle Adomasi, beyond the sky is the limit. But that dream can only become a reality when she gets the needed push. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohimi Ntewia reporting.
Very inspiring. And on to the National Science and Maths quiz. It's the end of the road for the 2021 champions of the National Science and Maths quiz, Prempeh College, after they were overpowered by a fiery Osage to SHS in the semi-finals of the Ashanti Regional Championship. Now, the Amanfo boys did not only come into the contest as national champions, but also as regional champions. But at all, that did not matter on the stages, as the Abrimpong Osage to SHS boys actually managed to muscle the Sofoline boys. Manuel Kranting now reports from Kumasi.
And so these are the boys from Osei to 2 Senior High School. Abrimpong! Today they are really shown that they are, if you like, sizes, because the school that is not only defending the Ashanti Regional Championship, but also the National Championship has fallen at their feet. Congratulations again. Where are the contestants? Let's talk to the contestants. What's your name?
I am James Samuel.
James Samuel, talk to me about the huge expectation that was on your shoulders, you know, when you were on stage. Yeah.
When the first round began, like everything was right, but there was a time we were getting the questions wrong. But still, we didn't lose faith that we'll be able to do it. Because this is not the first time we are beating Prempeh, and Prempeh is no match for us. Because this year we are coming on heat, and we are not aiming Prempeh, we are aiming the finals, and we know that the finals, we are winning the finals. Today, we are sending the trophy home. I told you yesterday that we will beat Prempeh. Prempeh is no match for us. Yesterday was 80.
Relax. Let's have a beautiful conversation. I mean, you just beat Prempeh College. I mean, what's next for you?
Abrimpong is the biggest school in Ghana. We are here to win the contest.
But talk to me. I mean, your marks is not the highest we've seen in this round of qualifiers and even the championship. Prempeh in the previous contest has scored 44 points, and that's more than what you have scored. I mean, if you put that against your performance, are you sure that this trophy will be yours?
Yeah, because Prempeh is the defending champion. Okay. At least in national. Yeah, Prempeh is the defending. So we are going to win. Definitely, we are going to win this competition. Yeah.
But does this mean that Osei to 2 is better than Prempeh?
Yes. And we will do it today. We have faith.
Let them tell you. Let them tell you that OT is better than PC. We are better. We don't.
More shows.
Oh, due to the performance that we performed yesterday. Today
we are going to surprise the whole world, the whole Ghana. Yeah.
We are here for Jamaica and other stuff. We are here for.
Yeah. It's about show working. I'm the OG. I'm the only matter to say. No, OT the only character than them. Show working. OG is the
Talk to me. Get something.
We're not talking here. I've been pointing to the whole reason. Listen, Prempeh is small boy. What does it? Prempeh, what you boss? What does it? Get to the I'm a Cast for high school for Bayim. Wow. They got you Prempeh and Quadia.
Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. Just speak to us in English.
Okay. The working is we are going to the finals. With high school, I get him. We are going to the finals with high school. I get him. Yeah. So high school is going to eliminate cast. Yes. Get out.
It's a wrong boy. It's a wrong shit.
Small boy. Pokwa is a small boy. Big at me. Prempeh is out. Prempeh is out. Why are you talking about us? We ain't tripping here. So the working is we are taking the trophy to Bakustan. Do you know Bakustan? I'm going to be precise.
And we now know that 7 persons were sentenced to death in Ghana last year for murder. The convictions bring to 172 the total number of persons on death row in Ghana as at last year. The revelation is contained in the latest Amnesty International's death penalty report released in Accra today for the year 2022. 6 of the 7 cases in terms of convictions last year were women who committed murders. There were no executions. Launching the report, the campaign communications coordinator for Amnesty International, Belinda Adichie Asamani, called for the abolition of the death penalty altogether.
65 were under death sentence at the end of the year 2021, while 6 of them were women and the remaining 6 were foreigners. 2 from Burkina Faso and 6 from Nigeria. There were no commutations or pardon. Amnesty International understands that all 165 were convicted of murder, which remains punishable by a mandatory death sentence in Ghana, barring judges from considering specific circumstances that may have mitigatory effects in each case. Ghana belongs to the global community, of which more than half have abolished the death penalty outright. The abolition of the death penalty will in no small way enhance Ghana's human rights credential among its peers. In West Africa, where Ghana is considered as a pacesetter in human rights, rule of law, and good governance, death penalty abolition has directly affected our ranking with countries such as Togo, who abolished the death penalty in 2009. Gabon abolished the death penalty in 2010. Benin abolished the death penalty in 2012. Guinea also in 2016 for ordinary crimes, and then in 2017, Guinea abolished the death penalty for military crimes. Burkina Faso also abolished the death penalty in 2018, and recently, Sierra Leone abolished the death penalty in 2021.
Joining us now is Belinda, who's obviously announcing the measures there. Belinda, so what do we need in terms of the agency in dealing with this matter? Hello, Belinda.
Yes, hello.
What more did you discover in this report that you're putting out there?
Yes. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. At Amnesty International, what we do is to ensure that all human rights are. What we do is to ensure that people live free and enjoy their human rights as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other human rights instruments. The death penalty report is our annual report, which is usually launched within this period. And this death penalty report covers the judicial use of the death penalty from January 2021 to December 2021. Now, with a focus on Ghana, we realized, according to the Ghana Prison Service, we were told that there were 165 people living on death row in Ghana. And out of the 165, there were 159 male, and then the female were 6. We also had, according to the report, we also discovered that there were 6 foreigners in Ghana living on death row, and 2 of them were from Burkina Faso, and then 4 from Nigeria. Yes. And we were also told or discovered that all these people who were convicted because of death.
Okay, so
for
giving the accounts that you're giving us now, what's your expectation
Yes.
from government?
Yes, so in government, we have had a progress with the campaign on the abolition of the death penalty in Ghana. So last year, 2021, in June, a private member's bill was proposed by Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu, and he is actually a key stakeholder in Amnesty International Ghana's campaign for the abolition of the death penalty in Ghana. And what he did was to propose a bill to the Criminal Offences Bill Act 29 to amend the provisions that calls for death penalty to substitute them with life sentence. So that is what Amnesty International is fighting for now. We want the provisions in the Act 29, the Criminal Offences Act, as well as the Armed Forces Act at 105, which calls for the use of the death penalty to be substituted with life imprisonment. That is what we are looking forward to, for the government to help us, or the parliament to help us pass this bill. We are also happy to be told that as part of Parliament sitting, the second meeting of the second session of Parliament, which is open today on Tuesday, 24th May, as part of the 10 bills that will be submitted before Parliament for approval, the Criminal Offences Act 29 Amendment Bill is part of it. So we are looking at Amnesty International. We are looking forward that the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill will be passed because it has the provisions to substitute the death penalty with life imprisonment. That is what Amnesty International.
I'm grateful for your time. That's Belinda Adichie joining us here on The Pulse. And that's all we have for you in this package of the program. My name is Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates for you there. Next, it's Let's Talk Showbiz.